Good to have Shabbos, everyone. Parshas Vayechi, Parshas Chazak. We finished the first of the 5 books of Moshe Rabbeinu this week. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah tells us that anything that happens to the person is pre-decreed, pre-decided. The only thing a person can really protect themselves from is from the heat to stay cool and from the cold to stay warm. Taisus challenges the Gemara with a story that we find that the Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who had a very close friend, Antoninus, which was the emperor of Rome. So he told Rebbe once, I'm going on the road, bless me. So he goes, I blesses that you should be warm. So Antoninus says, I don't need that blessing, I could buy a coat. He says, I bless you that you shouldn't suffer from the heat. And he says, oh, that's a good blessing. So Tosu says, we see that a person can't protect themselves from heat. You need to get a blessing from Rebbe. And Tosu's answers is that there's a difference if you're home. If you're in a place of your own comfort, your own security, then you can build protection from the heat. But when you're out on the road in the elements, then you need a special protection, a bracha from Rebbe, that the heat out there in the world doesn't affect you. In this week's Parsha, Vayechi Yaakov, it says the best years, the Alter Rebbe says, of Yaakov Avinu is his 17 years in Mitzrayim. And the Tzemach Tzedek asked the Alter Rebbe, how could we say that? And the Alter Rebbe says, because when Yaakov Avinu sees that his son Yosef lives in Mitzrayim, lives in the elements, lives in all the heat and the cold to Yiddishkeit, the heat to bring someone attraction to leave Torah mitzvahs, to go to all the passions of the world, that nevertheless he stays Yosef Tzaddik, the true righteous Yosef. That's true nachas to Yaakov Avinu, and these are the best years of his life. When you live in Eretz Yisrael, when you live in the comfort of Yitzchak's house and Yaakov's house, and you stay a frum Yid, so that's not so challenging. But to be out in the world in Mitzrayim, that's another whole story. And that's why, even though that the Jewish people, we finished this week, we know that Vayechi is a parsha that's connected to Vayikash. There's no separation because the eyes of the Jewish people are closed from the beginning of Golus, but we draw strength, we draw chizuk, knowing that even someone like Yosef Tzaddik, even in the difficulties, we can find strength and we can find stolz, we can be strong Yidden. Like the Alter Rebbe says in Parshas, in Torah this week, that when he says Yehuda, that Yehuda comes after the bracha of Yehuda, the blessing of Yehuda comes after the blessing of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven, Shimon, and Levi are all brachas that represent. Reuven represents a person who sees Hashem, Shimon is hearing Hashem, Levi is accompanying Hashem. These are all levels of a person reaching their full potential. So a person may think that comes Yehuda's acknowledgement, bittul, self-nullification. But it's not self-nullification out of a point of weakness. It comes out of chizuk, out of strength. Because even though you see Hashem, even though you understand Hashem, even though you accompany Hashem through learning Torah, nevertheless, ati yaducha achecha, on the back of your brothers, nevertheless you have the bittul nullification to know that what you're doing is not because you understand it, because you see it, because you feel it, but because this is what Hashem wants us to do. And when you have that commitment, like we spoke about last week, you could overcome any kind of darkness and gullus. And this is also connected to the Sikha, beautiful Sikha, most powerful Sikha that Rebbe spoke in 1991 in Parshas Vayechi, carrying over from the Sikha on Asar B'Tevis, the 10th of Tevis, that we say, the Gemara says in Tainus, that Ma Zar B'Chaim Mafu B'Chaim, that Yaakov Avinu lives. And the Gemara says, how do we know Yaakov Avinu lives? What do you mean he lives? They buried him, they eulogized him, they preserved him. How are you saying he's still alive? And the Gemara says, because Ma Zar B'Chaim Mafu B'Chaim, when his children are alive, he's alive. He lives in his children. And the Rebbe says, it's not the point, is that to prove us that Yaakov is alive. This is to prove us that we're alive. How do we know that we're alive? Because Yaakov's alive. Because it doesn't say death by Yaakov. And if Yaakov's alive depends on us being alive, that means we're alive. No matter what the situation says, no matter how you look at yourself, you could wake up in the morning and feel dead, you could feel spiritually dead, you could feel disconnected. You are alive. You're always connected to Torah, you're always connected to Hashem, you're always connected to the Jewish people. All you have to do is reveal that it already exists within you, because you're alive. And if you're alive, Yaakov's alive. And the fact that Yaakov is alive, that means you're alive. All you have to do is reveal your inner strength. This is a parsha of strength. Yehuda has acknowledgement, he has bittul because of how strong he is. The Jewish people get through Golus even though Yaakov Avinu passes away, even though Yosef passes away, and we go into the Golus. But before we even start the Golus, we're sure, and we say Chazak, Chazak, we're going to be strong, we are strong, and we're going to get through the Golus until we reach to the ultimate Geula, the ultimate redemption with Mashiach B'Karv Mamash. Good Shabbos.